Threats related to Charlie Kirk must be reported. I'm going to explain to you today from the perspective of a corporate attorney how these things can and should and must be reported and the effective steps to take to make sure that we see change here and see action in the light of the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Of course, I'm Andrew Esquire, American attorney, and this is a legal mindset we teach you to be your own judge. Now, this is the fast facts version where we give the quickest in legal news. If you want to see all of the discussion, you can look at my live video on the exact same topic, but we're going to get into it today. So in the wake of a tragedy, and this indeed was a tragedy, many people turn to look for things to do and what to do, because you don't just want to sit there idly thinking you're doing nothing or taking no action. But there indeed is something you can do, particularly if you work at an American corporation. And I know many of you work with, for, around. You have family that works for American corporations that are working for American employers. This goes for all of them, big, small, whatever. This step is going to be very, very, very effective for cleaning up America and for taking an action step where you can actually do something to help the country and get off your butt and actually put yourself into action doing something positive, which will make America a better country and it will make everywhere safer. So that situations like Charlie's situation do not happen again. So let me just break right into this. Of course, I got a PowerPoint, as I always do on my channel. So we're going to get right into it. Now, Asmongold, the famous streamer, mentioned he had a little video, which I'll show in the live version, but I'll summarize it here, that where he was saying you needed to go to HR. And if you see people that are dropping threats, and you guys have seen these, I'll show an example of a threat or even a comment, a celebration, celebrating a murder, celebrating an assassination. That's not okay. It is not okay to be doing this. And many people are doing this on main. They're doing this on accounts where they have their face out there. They're doing it on their LinkedIn profiles. They're doing it with it just openly celebrating on TikTok, all sorts of platforms where they are celebrating about this and they are joyous about this and they are calling for more. They are calling for more people. They're saying next do Elon, next do Trump, next do this person. They're celebrating and pushing for more assassinations. This is unacceptable. This is not okay. And this is certainly not something that is acceptable for an employee. So people like Asmongold said, go to HR, report it to HR, because, hey, this is something that's been going on for a long time and it needs to be reported. Now, Asmongold was right, but he was also not incomplete. He didn't give the full answer and he doesn't fully understand that that's not going to be enough in and of itself. You need to do more. And here's why. Let me explain to you guys. So first of all, as a disclaimer, I'm going to give you something to do. This is only to do if there's a credible evidence-based situation, and it is not to be applied just to blame other people without cause. We all know that in the past, people have pointed to other people, and because of their nationality, affiliations, politics, have said, hey, this person is naughty for no reason. I am not telling you to submit anything false other than what you believe is a credible threat to safety. I'm going to say that one more time. It needs to be a credible threat to safety based on evidence. This is only applicable in the United States, but I know that many other countries have similar laws. I think the UK has laws like this. There's other countries with laws like this. And the root concern is safety. Right? Safety is a legitimate concern. It's a baseline societal concern. Your society needs to be safe, both at home and the workplace. And this is something the law is very much concerned with. Law and order is safety, health, safety, welfare. That's at the core of the law. And now this can also apply to people of all political backgrounds. A lot of people are saying, hey, this is just a right-wing talking point. No. In fact, if you have a legitimate safety concern, I don't care whether the person is right, left, or center. And people who watch my channel know I am apolitical. I do not care. The law should apply equally to all. We all believe that. If you believe in the legal system, if you believe in justice, the Constitution, if you believe in everything that America stands for, everything should apply equally to everybody. So this can apply equally to everybody. However, let's acknowledge we're at a point in which one side here, it seems that maybe certain people on one side here are disproportionately celebrating this. Although there probably are people on the right, there's some people that might be celebrating as well. Once again, this can apply to everybody regardless of politics. So let's get into it. What is the key here? So the key and the problem is that we have legitimate threats. Now, some of you may not know this person, but this is Kit Noel. She's a cosplayer, and she, before Charlie Kirk, gave a bomb threat to a convention. And once again, there are people like Kit Noel and others that we may think they're joking, haha, online, but there's only a little difference between Kit Noel and ending up in the Charlie Kirk situation. So these type of people, like Kit Noel, like anybody else who's in this situation, need to actually be reported. They need to be turned in, and they need to suffer consequences. Well, if you see people reposting stuff, and I took this one here, this is just an example. I saw so many today, but I wanted to give you guys an example of celebrating violence, saying, hey, we need violence. Violence is good. Remember, if this was something that was put out there by somebody on the right during COVID, they would have absolutely been investigated, probably fired, maybe arrested, right? This is something that you need to have looked at. People need to examine these people and say, are they okay in the head? Are they a safety concern if you are posting this? Because there needs to be a serious investigation. If you are posting something like this, anything similar or worse, you need to be investigated. There needs to be a serious investigation here. Now, let's continue. What's the duty of the employer? The duty of the employer in America is corporations have a legal duty of care to ensure employees' safety and well-being. That is a fact. That is well established in case law. This is not controversial. This is not something that I'm just making up. Every single attorney will tell you this. Every single that knows anything about corporate law. If they know anything about corporate law at all, they will tell you this. And of course, me, as a practicing corporate attorney, can say, hey, yes, no, this is absolutely something they have. If an employee is not safe, that is a problem. That is a problem. Here's the problem with going to human resources, the Asmongold idea. There's limitations on that. Number one, there's no legal penalty. If you go to HR, they don't have to legally take action. In fact, there's a huge incentive with HR and to bury it or minimize it because they don't want to have to go after people. They don't want to have to investigate people. They want to be able to sit in their office and do nothing. And look, I don't blame them. Most corporate employees try to do the bare minimum not to get fired. I understand. What is it? Quiet quitting, right? I get it. But what I'm saying is they aren't going to want to go after and look into this. They're going to say, is it really big enough, right? You're reporting somebody, it's just some internet stuff, right? And the other problem is, and I don't mean to get the Karen in HR meme because I actually worked in HR once and I knew a Karen who was a lovely woman. She was a nice woman. I feel bad for the Karens out there. But the Karen in HR meme is a thing for a reason. Memes do have a speckle of truth, or more than a speckle sometimes. Some HR departments are fully captured ideologically. They might be captured by people who agree with the sentiment of celebration. And in those cases, what they are doing is they are not passing the information to the higher ups and the CEOs. I know this because I worked in corporations. I know what happens. Sometimes you tell it to HR and they do not bring it to the higher ups because they don't want them to know. So genuinely, you might have CEOs and higher ups that would want to help and would be very sympathetic, but they're not hearing it. They're not hearing it because HR is filtering it and they're not passing along certain information. The other thing is there's no anonymity. When you walk into HR, you can be retaliated against. And even if you're not fired, what are they going to do? They're going to ostracize you. They're going to shun you. They're going to make fun of you, make jokes about you, say, "Oh, this is that conservative person that's concerned about this," and just laugh at you because of your political beliefs. That's not okay, right? And even if they don't fire you, that's minimizing what it may be a very, very genuine safety concern. So what is the secret weapon? How do we fight back against this? Let me tell you guys, after you like the video, make sure you like the video and share this out. It's very important to get this word out, especially on this video. So here we go. The secret weapon is OSHA. OSHA, the Occupational Safety and Health Administration. Some of you may remember OSHA from COVID. Oh, yes. Let's talk about that. What is OSHA? So OSHA refers to the Occupational Safety and Health Act of 1970, the OSHA Act. It is a federal law, a U.S. federal law applying to all states and territories that requires employers to provide a safe workplace free from recognized hazards, establishing legal protection for employees. If you remember during COVID, they almost used OSHA to make everybody wear a mask, and it almost worked. It had to go all the way to the Supreme Court. And by the way, people forget about this. It failed for all employers, but it passed for hospitals, and it passed for certain locations. It's a very powerful law. And the burden is really it's on the side, the power is on the side of the corporation to provide that workplace. And hey, if you're going to say a death threat, a safety threat to Others saying, hey, look, I'm afraid, I'm legitimately scared that this person posting this online is going to come after me for my conservative beliefs, for my beliefs that maybe I believed in Charlie Kirk. I support Charlie Kirk. I'm openly supporting Charlie Kirk. I'm afraid this person is going to do what they did to Charlie Kirk. They're celebrating this. That could be, based on an examination, looking into it, a very, very, very legitimate threat. And we all need to agree, left, right, and center, that that's not appropriate in the workplace. So why is this so powerful? Why OSHA and not HR? Let me explain why. It's anonymous, so you will not be retaliated against. Human resources cannot bury it because this is a government thing. It's going to come through the government regulatory body. They're going to know they got an OSHA complaint. They cannot hide that. And trust me when I tell you, as a corporate attorney, the CEO, the C-suite people, the management people, they will notice when OSHA complaints start coming in because there are legal penalties for non-compliance. Also, there's no cost of a lawsuit. Now, we're going to talk about the lawsuits a little bit more, but you could sue for having a not safe workplace, but that costs a lot of money. And most regular Americans are just struggling to make ends meet, to pay for things. Things are getting more expensive, inflation. You don't have to sue. You can go online and submit it for free. You can call. You can go in person. You can fax it if you even have a fax. There's many places to do it for almost nothing. And the law is very clear regarding safety risks. They need to be investigated. They need to be looked at. This is something they are going to need to take action on. Even if they ultimately don't fire the person, at least they were investigated and at least they know it's an issue. And now they're going to pay attention to their online behavior and the online behavior of the employees. Corporate America has been sleeping on the online behavior of its employees, and now it's time to wake up. Now it is a genuine time to wake up and say, we are going to pay attention to what people are doing online and make sure that they are behaving online. Also, it can be paired with a boycott. Let me tell you why that's going to be important in just a second. That's because certain corporations, and by the way, I love this one of burger, parody, right? This is, of course, not based on any real, a king of burgers fighting a clown of Whack Donald, right? Also, I do love the Colonel in the background. Also, Wendy is looking kind of trad and kind of, that's like the Chanel. Wendy's actually looking kind of hot in that one. Anyways, that said, the corporations are not all going to agree on this, right? They are not all going to agree on this. Some corporations will actually fight this because they are so captured ideologically, they will dismiss the OSHA complaint. But here's what's going to happen. If you are an employee and you are working at a corporation that does not support people that are feeling threatened by this and does not fire those employees or take action or discipline them or at least investigate them seriously, guess what you can do? Your power as an employee always is to walk from that company. Go to their competitor. Start shopping out. Look at who your company's biggest competitor is. Apply there. Look at the people that are protecting, that are taking action. Pay attention in the next coming weeks. Which companies are taking action and firing people? Which schools and universities are taking action and firing people? I think it was Middle Tennessee had somebody they dismissed. Good on Middle Tennessee for dismissing a person after making a threat, if they viewed that as credible, looking at the evidence. Once again, you can look at these and compare them, and people can boycott the corporations which do not take adequate safety measures. And as much as they don't want to admit this, boycotts are very effective, particularly if you're going to their competitor. They pay attention when the money hits. Corporations love money. Above all, they love money. So hit them in the pocketbook. Guys, please, 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 please do me a favor and share this out because you need to act, right? Here's how you act. You file the OSHA complaint. You can file it online, www.osha.gov/workers/file-complaint. Go online, do it online. Go by phone, 1-800-321-6742. That spells OSHA, but not everybody has the phones with the letters anymore, so just use the numbers. Mail, fax, go in person at a local OSHA office. Remember, you can keep your name confidential. Now, I will say this. If you are bold enough to sign your name, that actually typically is taken a little more seriously. But however, you can still submit it anonymously. And once again, I think if they get a flood of anonymous complaints, they are not going to be able to ignore this. OSHA is going to have to act on this, and they're going to have to look into these corporations. Guys, I've never had a video where I've wanted you guys to share this out more than this one. If you have somebody who works at a corporation in your family, they work somewhere, big corporation, share this video, link them, let them know about this, how to act, and make sure they take action right away. Remember, you can do this. It's very simple. It takes minimum time. Go out and take some action in memory of Charlie. Take care.